I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. You came out. You told the truth about who you are, maybe about your sexuality, your beliefs, your politics, or another part of yourself you'd kept hidden. You expected freedom to rush in, maybe connection too. But instead, there's silence. People you thought would stand beside you have stepped back. The spaces you used to belong to no longer feel safe. The loneliness is sharper now, because it's not just about being unseen, it's about being seen and still left standing alone. This is what this video is about. We're going to walk through the terrain that comes after the declaration, when the air is thin and the map is gone. You'll see that this isn't regression, and it isn't proof that you've made a mistake. It's an initiation, a passage into a self that no one else can name for you. By the end, you'll understand why this isolation exists, how it's shaping you, and how to keep walking without folding back into what you left behind. Right now, you might be questioning if you should have stayed silent, if you should have kept your truth hidden just a little longer. You might be replaying conversations, scanning for signs you could have done this better. But there is no better. There is only the before and the after, and you've already stepped through. This moment isn't the end of the story, it's the threshold. What's being taken from you right now isn't your identity. It's the scaffolding that held up a version of you that could only survive by hiding. And in the next section, we'll name exactly what's unraveling, so you'll know it's not failure, but the necessary dismantling before your real life begins. When you came out, you didn't just speak a truth. You pulled out the threads of an entire fabric. The fabric was made of familiar patterns, the roles you played to keep the peace, the unspoken agreements that let you belong, the way you monitored your own words so no one would flinch. Those threads were woven over years, maybe decades, and pulling them loose was never going to be clean. Now you feel the absence, the invitations that stopped coming, the conversations that suddenly have walls in them, the people who talk to you like you've become a stranger. It can feel like you've lost a home, but what you've really lost is a shelter built on terms that were never yours. The cost of that shelter was silence. Now that the silence is gone, the roof has come off too. Grief will come, not just for relationships, but for the version of you that knew how to stay small enough to fit. That self was skilled at survival. They knew how to bend, how to edit themselves, how to keep the mask from slipping. But survival and freedom are not the same. This unraveling is the space where survival ends. It's tempting to try to weave something new immediately, to find another group, another label, another role to stand under. But if you can hold steady here, without rushing to cover the emptiness, the next structure will be built for who you really are. And in the next section, we'll meet what stands in the center of that emptiness, the presence inside you that refuses to shrink back, and what it's here to ask of you now. When the old scaffolding falls away, something steps forward from the quiet. It isn't always gentle. It isn't here to soothe you back to comfort. It is the part of you that would rather stand alone in the open than hide again in the crowd. You might feel it as a steady, watchful presence, the part of you that doesn't apologize for existing, even when your voice shakes. This is the sacred exile, the truth bearer. It has lived in you for years, waiting for the moment you would stop covering it with masks. It isn't concerned with being liked or understood. It is concerned only with being real. And when you finally meet it, there's no going back, because you see yourself without the filters you used to wear. It may ask things of you that feel impossible, to keep speaking when silence would be easier, to keep showing up when the room feels colder, to keep belonging to yourself before you belong to anyone else. It doesn't bargain. It doesn't accept half-truths. Standing before it can feel like being burned clean. You might want to turn away. You might want to tell it you're not ready. But it will wait, unblinking, until you step closer. Because its presence is the turning point. the place where you stop searching for who you are in other people's acceptance and start building a life from your own ground up. And in the next section, we'll step into that turning, the moment you begin to orient from the inside out, and what changes the instant you do. The turning doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It often starts in the smallest moments, when you speak without rehearsing, when you breathe without bracing, when you choose what you know is right for you without scanning the room for approval. These moments might feel ordinary on the surface, but inside, something irreversible is taking shape. You begin to notice that the silence from others no longer feels like a verdict. The absence of old relationships no longer feels like a hole you need to fill. There's a new gravity forming in you, the kind that pulls your decisions from the inside out, not from the outside in. You realize you can't go back to performing a smaller life, because you've tasted what it's like to stand in your own skin without apology. This is not about defiance for its own sake. It's about belonging first to yourself. That belonging becomes the compass you didn't know you needed, one that doesn't spin with the moods, opinions, or judgments of others. You find you can move more slowly, speak more simply, and rest more deeply, because you're no longer burning energy to keep a mask in place. The turning is quiet, but it is not fragile. It is the first breath in a new atmosphere, the first step on ground you're building with your own hands. It doesn't matter if no one else understands it yet. What matters is that you do. And in the final section, we'll seal this passage, looking back at the exile, the loss, and the return to yourself, and naming the life that begins from here. You've walked through the gate no one could open for you. You've endured the silence, the distance, the loss of familiar shelter. You've stood in the raw space where belonging to others had to wait until you belonged to yourself. And you met the part of you that will not shrink again. The exile has become anchor. The truth-bearer has taken root in your chest. You carry them now, not as armor, but as the living proof that you will never go back to the smallness that kept you safe but untrue. You no longer measure your worth by who stays or who leaves. You no longer shapeshift to fit the shape of a room. You walk in as you are, knowing that your presence is already enough. The loneliness has thinned into solitude, and the solitude has deepened into strength. There is no rush to replace what fell away. The life you're building doesn't need to be decorated with acceptance to be real. It's real because you chose it with your whole voice. You don't rise because the world finally understood you. You rise because you refuse to abandon yourself, even when it cost you the comfort of belonging. The return is not the end. It's the ground you stand on now. And from here, every step forward will carry the echo of this truth. You have already come home. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return. Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.